Welcome back to the Malted Man Cave. I'm Keith.
I'm Dave.
And tonight we're going to be doing a very, very sought after whiskey that I'm really excited about. And I think many of our subscribers are going to be like psyched about to see. Wish they could have and actually see us review it. But it's a beauty from the Kintyre Peninsula. One of the distilleries on the Kintyre Peninsula. You won't find it.
It's alright.
Coming up.
It's up there.
Alright, so we are back, and as I said before, we're going to be doing a very special stuff.
Right there.
Dave wants to show you guys where the Kintyre Peninsula is.
Right there.
Go ahead, go show him.
Oh, I already showed him.
Go show him, Dave.
I already showed him, right?
No, go show him.
I showed him on the map.
You might as well.
Alright.
Move the bottles. Show them where Isla is so they have some bearings. There's Isla. That's Isla. Where's the Kintyre Peninsula?
Right here.
There you go.
A thing that looks like a big finger.
Which is the one place that if I have only one place to pick, many people would think it would be Isla, but for me it's actually going to be Campbelltown, which is the main city on the Kintyre Peninsula where Springbank.
What's the terrain like there? Is it mountainous?
Sure.
Is it
not sure.
Fields? Is it?
I think like around most of the coastland in Scotland. Excuse me. It's rocky with, I mean, they're not like known for their like white sand beaches. So
oh yeah, I know.
I think it's kind of more of a rocky terrain. So don't really know anything else.
I'll do a little research.
And Dave's Whiskey
I'm
Corner.
hungry.
Dave's Whiskey Corner. You can.
No, seriously, we're on episode 3. If you haven't subbed, please. Dave's Whiskey Corner. It's actually right in that corner.
You're done. So tonight we're doing something special. We are doing Longrow Red 12 cask strength Pinot Noir. So, as many of you guys know, this is a really, really limited edition that many people are really excited about and would love to get their hands on. Unfortunately, they're really hard to get. I have even people from Scotland, when they see that I have some of these, like the Springbanks, the local barley series, or the Longrow Red series, they're like, how the frick do you get that? Got my ways. Kind of a big deal.
Big deal.
People know me. Or I live close to Kentucky and one of the best liquor stores in the country.
God bless Kentucky.
Who gets an allotment from the beautiful, beautiful distillery of Springbank. So a little bit about Longrow. It is one of the 3 brands of Springbank. So there is Hazelburn, which is an unpeated version, triple distilled. Springbank, which is the main, it's the name of the company, but it's the main brand. It's 2.8 times distilled. It's mildly peated. I think that Springbank leaves their peat on the peating fires for about 6 hours for Springbank, and for Longrow they leave it on for about 48 hours. So Longrow is their heavily peated brand that is distilled, the normal Scottish 2.2 times, and it's more heavily distilled. I think that Longrow typically clocks in at about 50 to 55 ppms, parts per million. Do you know what that means? ppms?
I don't.
It's kind of like the phenol smoke levels. Phenol is kind of how you how peaty it is and the amount of phenols in it.
That
you knew
sense.
that, right?
Yeah,
you know
yes. I do that.
One thing that I actually, when I was kind of doing some research on this, that I didn't know is when I was kind of listening to a distillery tour when they were talking about how they peated their barley. One thing that I was kind of curious is like, I wonder if this is where that Springbank funk. Springbank, Longrow, and even to a certain extent Hazelburn is known for having this kind of like funky cheese, herbal notes, and like their barley notes. It's barley sugar and it's got that rich sweetness, but there's like something more to it. You're like, Keith.
There is something more to it.
Very interesting.
Dude, I'm listening, man. I always love it when you
get
passionate about something.
Like most people, when they're bringing the peat fires when they're getting it hot and they're stoking it, the barley that they use, the barley that they use is dry. But after a while, once they get the fires to a hot temperature, they actually take wet peat that's actually wet, and they throw it on top. And I don't think a lot of distilleries do that. And I think that that's kind of where this like funky, damp cheesy. I don't know. This is a complete hypothesis. You subscribers and viewers, let us know if you think that might have anything to do with it. But I didn't know that they added wet peat on top of that while they were peating.
You didn't
Dry
know.
and wet peat. So, anything else I want to say about this? So, this is the 4th edition of the Longrow Red series that has become really, really popular. I believe they started out with a Cabernet Sauvignon finish, so it's like 7-8 years in bourbon cask. Then the last, couple years it was in Cabernet Sauvignon. Then they did like a Australian Shiraz finish. Then they did port. Then this was the 4th edition Pinot Noir, and then there's a Malbec, which is a type of, I think, red wine that they did for the 5th edition. So without further ado, and enough of me blabbering, let's get us into some whiskey. All right, without further ado, Dave, what do you get on the nose?
Right off the bat, very creamy, spicy scent to it. The peat definitely stands out, but it's a different peated scent than what I'm normally used to. And to me, I know you said that it's heavily peated, but to me it's almost maybe not more mild, but maybe more I don't know, enjoyable.
I think that the Pinot Noir red wine casks might be masking that a bit.
Yeah, and that was my next comment, was that I like, so I don't like a lot of wine, if you've watched our channel at all, you know that, but Pinot Noir I can drink.
You can't really tell now because the bottle's pretty low, but when this was full, this was really, really dark. And like all Springbanks, it is non-colored, unchill filtered. And I forgot to mention, this comes in at a whopping 52.9% ABV.
It doesn't seem like it's 52.9.
Yeah, I would agree. That's just because Springbank is amazing.
Because it's so good.
They know how to make whiskey that has power and flavor and still doesn't like burn your esophagus.
And then the next thing was that I said it reminded me of growing up. We had an old farmhouse and we had a big floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. And I grew up right before Encarta for Windows 95 came out. And
when people actually had encyclopedias?
Yeah. And so like a book report, go to the encyclopedia.
Oh, that was terrible. I remember like not enjoying that.
But flipping through that damp corner with all those books, just very, and then of course charred oak, raspberries, vanilla, and very, very, very buttery to me.
As I've said before in my other Springbank and Hazelburn, and now my first Longrow review, Springbank, they use dunnage warehouses, so that's how you get that like musty, boosty, dank, wet, damp, old leather books. I mean leather books, leather-bound books.
Many leather-bound books.
And they're just known for doing things the old school right way, and they do everything by hand. They even bottle. They do everything from start to finish on the distillery, at the distillery plant, which is very rare.
Yeah.
I think the only other one that does it now is Kilhoman. So, is that all you got on the nose?
Yep.
So I get, man, that's good. A little bit of raspberries, like dark raspberries. You get that awesome burnt ashen fire, bonfire, smoke. Spicy cinnamon and clove candlewax. Now, I'm not saying that because it reminds me, a lot of like Klein Leash, has that waxiness. Now, maybe it has a little bit, but it just smells like those Yankee candles when you go to Cracker Barrel, if it would have like spicy clove and cinnamon.
Yeah.
Vanilla, biscuits, and strawberry preserved jam. Like, I think the strawberry notes preserved jam comes from that Pinot Noir cask.
Yeah.
Twizzlers red licorice. Pinot Noir, some of like the tannins that you get from red wine. Like an umami soy sauce almost. I know it sounds odd, but with Springbank, that's what I like about. A lot of whiskey.
He's had a lot of time in the basement to smell this.
You get like sweet and sour, and it's all nice and palatable, but like for Springbank, you get all these like weird, like funky, and sometimes they almost don't sound like they'd be good, but somehow they work together.
Yeah.
But then you still have like the amazing sweetness and the barley and all the delicious goodness that you like in Scotch. Dark chocolate, And the last note that I got on the nose, almost like, and this may not sound pleasant, but it almost smelled like cardboard. And there's another Bowmore, right. The Devil's Cask. I got that same note, and it's not unpleasant at all. It just, wow, this smells like cardboard, which is probably from like the oakiness somehow. Box. But I don't know why. It's instead of just being normal oak like I get, it smells like cardboard. So what do you get on the palate?
My first note was, it reminded me of cherries soaked in vinegar.
Yeah.
It just has a very...
It's a little sour vinegar note.
Just a sour, but very sweet at the same time. It's a... And, man, I was going to save this for the finish, but it hits you right off. It's so dry to me. Like, it instantly just takes it out of my...
Which is surprising, because it's only in there for 12 years, and Pinot Noir, of all the red wine casks, is not known for being a really dry wine. But that's not like a Merlot.
No, not
what's
at all.
Another red wine? But I agree with you, it is.
What's you can have dry in any, you can have dry white wine, but...
But don't you think Pinot Noir is normally not that drying? At least the ones I've tried.
Yeah.
I don't claim to be a wine connoisseur by any stretch of imagination.
And then vanilla, raspberries again to me. I wrote down wet smoke. It just reminds me of like putting out a bonfire in the morning.
It's the wet peat levels that they add on.
There you go. The smoke is definitely more pronounced than
on the palate
than the nose for me. It's definitely there. And then my last little thought was it's a little sulfuric to me, which is probably that smokiness and the charred oak and all of that kind of coming into one, but it's not it doesn't detract in any way. In fact, it's pretty good.
One of our earlier videos, I misspoke, and I said like when you get sulfur notes, and I was right what I said, but there's other ways you can get it. So a lot of times in sherry casks, when they're in Spain getting ready to ship to Scotland or whatever, or the staves are getting ready to be disassembled, they put, those sulfur candles to kind of dry it so it doesn't kind of go bad. Well, I don't know, whatever sulfur candles like help, promote that not happening. And sometimes if it's not done correctly, you get really sulfur and it can be unpleasant. But also sometimes in the the fermentation process, the different way the different esters work, it can get sulfur notes that way. Or even with the interaction with the copper, which I didn't know. So, correction, the Malted Man Cave stands corrected, but I did my research and I now have the correct answer.
Well done.
Dave really wants me to shut up about all my background information tonight.
No, I love
Dave's
it, man.
like, we got one more review tonight, let's go.
You know what? You can always tell when it's a spring bake.
I do it on purpose.
You can always tell when it's a spring bake.
It's the best freaking whiskey in the world, that's why.
Because Keith's like, all right, man. This is pretty special whiskey.
These people are eating it up right now, okay? These people are loving it. They want to hear me talk about it.
They love spring bake. I love spring bake. You know what? I haven't had a bad spring bake.
Not as much as me.
No. All right. Oh, yeah.
Are you done?
No, yeah. We just said all right at the same time.
So, for the palate for me, let me take another sip. Again, you get that biscuits with strawberry preserve, jam, raspberries, that burnt ashen smoke, clove, cinnamon, twizzlers, red licorice, dark chocolate. This time I actually taste a little bit of Pinot Noir. And there's a note that I get when I drink Pinot Noir. Again, not an expert, but it's like a mild plummy note at the end on the palate or on the finish with Pinot Noir, and I actually get that on here. Let me take another sip. Dave's like, shut the frick up, Keith.
No, man.
I'm just joking.
Stop it. No, but
tell me more.
When we're doing a review, and I come down and the bottle is near the end of its life, I know it's going to be a flowery expose on the glories of spring bake. When there's just like No, he's like.
So you should have came in prepared. I don't want to hear any of this. Why won't he shut up? Why won't he shut up?
No, I'm sorry.
This is a whiskey channel, Dave. Help. All right, so I get a little bit of slight, it's not real strong, slightly mentholic cough syrup. Again, the umami soy sauce, and for whatever reason on the palate, almost like a pesto sauce. I don't know, give it a go, and you may not taste it. And I'm probably influencing you with the power suggestion now. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like a slight pesto sauce.
I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then last but not least, I get a touch of spicy chili flakes, and then that cardboard note again. So, all right, last but not least, how was the finish for you? What'd you get? Was it long? Short?
I wrote long. It's very long to me. Man, it just really stays on your tongue, or it feels like it feels like you have dry mouth or something like that, but in a good way.
It's really drying.
The smoke definitely intensifies. Once again, it like ramps up. Finish is very smoky to me. Vanilla, a lot of those sweet, the sweet fruit, the red fruit flavors stay on. But man, it's pretty good. Stays with you.
So again, I would say it's a long, drying finish that stays. For sure. You get that like raspberry, strawberry preserve, twizzlers, a little bit of dark chocolate, but especially that pesto, chili flakes, and just like, I feel like what would my mouth would taste like after having like a sip of whiskey and Pinot Noir. And I don't know if I mentioned this because I felt Dave's beady eyes looking at me like, shut up, no more information, shut up, no more information. But this particular beauty was aged in bourbon for 11 years. Good cask, because Springbank pretty much only uses good casks. And then for about a year, they put it into Pinot Noir casks that were from New Zealand, I believe. Which was a really random place to get Pinot Noir casks since they're in Europe, but must have got them on sale. Must have been good and on sale.
I like a white wine from New Zealand, Nobilo. It's pretty inexpensive.
What is that? No, it's not New Zealand. That's Australian. Yellowtail, which is not that great. Not
it's that great when you're in college.
It's great when you're in college. All right, Malted Man Cave Marks. What are you gonna give this?
You know what? I'm gonna give it a. I would say it's right up there with the Stag Junior.
Ooh, seriously? You like this as much as a bourbon, a good bourbon?
I told you I always like the peated ones. I've always given the peated ones good high marks.
I'm just surprised. 93 out of 100?
I was just gonna say it's right up there, but I'm gonna give it a 92 because I was debating between a 93 and a 92, and I just feel like it's not quite in my arena yet, but it's definitely there.
Dave's like, it was a 92, but I'm going to give it a 90 because of Keith's rant about Springbank and Longrow.
And it's going down currently.
What else do you want to know about Springbank, Dave?
Nothing. I've heard it all.
All right, so Malted Man Cave Mark for me is a, you know what?
Did I beat you?
Nope. I'm going to go right at 92 out of 100. It is almost a 93.
I felt the same way, but for different reasons.
I still like Springbank 12 cask strength better than this. I think a lot of people will think I'm crazy because this is really hard. I mean, Springbank 12 cask strength is known for being amazing. But I love this. This is a 92 out of 100. But yeah, 92 out of 100. I still like Springbank 12 cask strength better.
92.
Question of the night.
Question of the night. So I asked Keith if we could do something a little different tonight, if we could change it up a little bit. I recently went into a liquor store. I think maybe a city of, what do you think Columbus is?
Like size?
Yeah, 750,000.
I think it's getting close to 1 million. No, I don't know.
Man, I'm so bad with population numbers.
We're going to get off on a rabbit trail with this. Yeah. It's a big city. It's a nice, clean, awesome city.
Yeah, yeah.
Buckeyes are there.
Yeah, it's like a college town, like a really big college town. So anyways, in Columbus, I walk into the big liquor store that they have, and wall-to-wall whiskeys. I'm on my phone looking up, like, what should I spend my money on that is going to be maybe like worth the value, or the best representation of this region, or what are some kind of go-to names? Maybe what are some names that you might personally like that are not necessarily what they have the most in stock of? Macallan 12.
Yeah. So are we going to pretend now Ohio, Columbus is okay. The Dayton area, Miami Valley, where we're from, sucks. You know, we have to go down to Kentucky really to get like really good stuff.
Yeah.
So, but we're pretending like it's an average selection.
Yeah, just an average. Yeah, like a common.
Is it for a beginner or for you now? So for you when you first started, or for you like after trying?
I mean, obviously even now, because I'm still get a little bit lost in it. But yeah, maybe let's do now. Yeah, you've had some Scotch.
One from each region, like a kind of a beginner to like 1 year in.
And this isn't what everybody thinks. This is just what Keith from the Malted Man Cave would suggest.
So I'm going to give one from each region, and then Dave, kind of to reciprocate and to have his kind of rebuttal, you're going to say if someone's new to beer. Because Dave's an expert at beer.
Oh, let me tell you about some beer.
He knows him some beer. He likes Bud Light.
Oh yeah, that's Bud Night.
Some Ice House. Some Milwaukee's Best. All right, so one from each region. So from the Highland region. Now, this is kind of hard to get, and we really can't find it in Ohio, but if you can find it, Kleinlich 14. So good. And I think it's complex, but it's also got enough sweet that it's not going to like scare newbies off. So that's a good one from the Highlands. From Speyside, there's so many to pick from there, and they're all kind of sweet and fruity, and really all Speyside whiskeys for the most part are pretty good for newbies or someone that's 1 year in like yourself. Balvenie 12 Doublewood. Would be my Speyside. Remember, you like that?
Yeah.
The old infamous video when the bottle broke.
It was delicious.
Back in the day, we used to think we were cute, and we tossed the bottle before and we really tossed it. We didn't like have cushions down. If it fell, it broke. In one episode, it did.
It was a bad.
All right, Lowlands.
Poured one on the basement floor.
Yeah, we poured one out. Lowlands. I don't have a whole lot of experience with those. I've had a decent amount. I would go, and this isn't really necessarily like that great, but I think it really kind of has the characteristics. I'd get Glenkinchie 12.
Glenkinchie?
If you can find a Rosebank or a new distillery, Elsa Bay. I kind of want to try it. I still haven't tried an Elsa Bay. All right, so Campbelltown, which is a whiskey region that we just had. I'd have to go with Springbank 15. I think the Springbank 12 cask strength is a little too in-your-face, powerful cask strength. Springbank 15 is like an amazing whiskey that's fruity and nice and palatable, but you kind of get some of the complex flavors. And then lastly, for Islay, Bunnahabhain 12. Bunnahabhain 12. It is like so lightly peated. It's barely even noticeable. And it's amazing bang for your buck. And then I kind of have a couple things after that to slowly ease your palate into all the briny. So I would say those are all a good place to start, kind of one from each region. So say, I mean, I know a little bit about beer. You know.
Oh, yeah.
But let's pretend that I really didn't.
I'll say the first.
Where would you steer me?
No, so I would do. So let's do a import. A good beer to start on would be my wife likes Stella and I like Stella, and that's like Bud Light over in Europe. So Stella's pretty good to start off with. Girls tend to like it. I think it's because of the name.
Yeah. Their fancy glassware.
Yeah.
Effeminate.
So, and that's kind of part of that. And then I'd also say, for me, Newcastle was a big step up in my beer game, because before that, now Newcastle, I never buy Newcastle ever, but back in the day, I mean, I was going from terrible light beers to Newcastle. It was a big
I still love Newcastle. I mean, I never drink it. Just I don't know. I kind of was huge into beer, then huge into wine, and then I got in this whiskey kick, and I have not looked back.
For Hispanic beers,
Negra Modelo Dark, right?
Ooh, I do like some Negra Modelo.
Amber?
Dos Equis Amber. I like those two. But a good light beer to start off with, like Bohemia. That's very good. And then, man, when you're down having a Presidente on the beach, it's like the cheapest beer ever, but it's like water. So those would be good. And then from, man, do you know any? I've never had any beer from Asia that I really liked.
Actually, when I was in the Philippines, I had one that actually, I mean, it's not like this amazing, great quality, but it like hit the spot. Is San Miguel.
San Miguel.
San Miguel is a good Filipino beer.
Now, for as American beer, what is in my fridge currently besides the beer that you bestowed me? I really like I like craft breweries a lot. We have, luckily in our region, we don't have a lot of whiskey stores, but we have a lot of craft breweries.
Ohioans and all of our country folk love them.
Man, we have good craft breweries.
Whiskey like
anyways, we live
hell.
Yeah, we live near Cincinnati, so Cincinnati has a lot of good craft breweries. As far as like major ones, you can't go wrong for me. Well, I like Yingling, and I like my favorite cheap American beer, Coors Light.
You've always tapped the Rockies.
Always like Coors Light. So in the summer, I'm either drinking a Coors. Well, I'll change that. Hallie likes Michelob Ultra because
he gets on to me for talking. Just like 5 minutes later. I'm just kidding.
Anyways, Coors Light for your light American beer all the way.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Go out and get some of Dave's beers. Go out and get the whiskeys that
Dave's beer
corner.
back room. Dave's beer back room.
But seriously, we appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe. Slash.